Hello and welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley. In this class, we're going to have a little fun trying to make some predictions about the future. I don't even know what topics we'll discuss: economics, world politics. We'll maybe talk a little bit about our personal lives and this and that. The object of the lesson is to practice our general conversation skills as well as use of different future tenses, talking about what may be predictions about the future for ourselves or even plans, and using proper verb tenses to construct the sentences. So, okay, plenty of room in the class for any Verbling students who would care to join me. Just step on in. Vitor is here. Hi, Vitor, but I know you're getting a glass of water because we chatted before the class started. Or getting something to eat, rather. Plenty of room in the class for any others who would like to join. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. I seem to have a small technical problem. Hang on. Huh. All right. I think we're okay. What's going on here? I seem to be kind of stuck. I predict that I need to update my browser. Okay, I seem to be back to normal now. Pardon the glitch. All right, come on in the class. We're going to talk about the future. Hi, Vitor. Hi again. Okay. All right. Okay. Vitor, we're just going to have an open-ended conversation about the future. Maybe we'll start with some personal things, and then we'll get into, I don't know, world events or whatever. Vitor, now in our last class, in our last hour's class, we were looking at future tenses, and you had informed me that you were planning on going to Israel and getting involved in some startups or okay. So let's talk about, this is obviously the future. What do you want to accomplish? There's another way to talk about the future or ask about the future. What do you want to accomplish? Not even using simple future tense. What do you want to accomplish when you're in Israel? What is the goal?
The goal?
Yeah.
I think, first of all, so I'm Victor, and I live in Brazil. I live in Rio de Janeiro. I'm from Brazil. And I am an entrepreneur. I founded a company 3 years ago, and it did not work out. So we had to shut the business down in December. And nowadays I'm looking for opportunities abroad. So Israel it's like the second Silicon Valley in the world. So I want to be there to learn. So I hope I will learn a lot with them because they have developed ecosystem. And I will be working in a startup. So I'm a developer. So I build iOS apps and websites. So that's why they hired me. But you know, it's a temporary job. So I'm gonna stay there for only 3 months.
Okay.
And you know, I wanna see what they are doing. Like I wanna go to the US like in 2 years to work in a startup because you know Brazil is in the middle of political and economic crisis. I don't know if we're following the news. So the investments in business in Brazil are not doing good. So I wanna start another company abroad. That's what I wanna achieve.
Okay.
Ambitious?
Uh,
I don't know.
oh, well, maybe. Nothing wrong with that, though. Kudos to you. Okay. Thank you, Vitor. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And okay, a little bit of feedback regarding English. Pronunciation, developed. It has the T
Develop.
sound. Developed.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I applaud your use of verb tenses because you gave me background. You used simple past. You even used a past perfect construction to show me that something happened before and ended in December. I forgot exactly what you said, but it was perfect use of the tense. You moved into the present tense, what you can do, and then you talked about future tense. Very nice transitions of verb tenses. Good job, really. Okay, just a couple minor problems. The other minor problem, not doing good, should be not doing well. You mentioned Brazil's not doing good. It should be they're not doing well. You're using good or well to modify doing, the verb doing.
Mm-hmm.
So good is an adjective, all right?
I see.
And well is an adverb. So if you're going to be modifying that verb, you absolutely have to be using well. Of course, it gets confusing because well is an adverb that comes after the verb, not before. You can't say he is well doing. He is doing well, obviously. So it gets a little tricky. Okay. All right. That's very interesting, and the best of luck to you, actually, in your
And I hope
endeavors.
I hope I will find a Jewish girl, and then who knows? It's always
Good luck
good.
with that. You're very ambitious. Okay. Okay. Let me welcome Ken, who's joined us. Hey there, Ken.
Yes, hello. How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. Uh, okay. Ken, we're just having basically open-ended conversation and trying to concentrate on using future tenses. So I thought we could start with talking a little bit about personal things, and then we'll get into some bigger things. I know that Vitor and I are going to talk about Brazil a little more because I'm very interested in his predictions about Brazil. Start thinking about that, Vitor. Meanwhile, talking to you, Ken. What are your plans for the next 5 years? Do you bother to plan?
No, I don't have plans for the next 5 years.
Mm.
I w maybe a status quo will be good. Yeah, to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're talking like your own life or whatever, or maybe a situation at work, whatever, usually we use the verb keep. So
Okay.
I will probably just keep the status quo. All right. Status quo, for those who don't know, it's actually Latin, but it is used in English to basically mean keep the status quo, keep things stable, keep things the way they are. Okay. All right. Can you, due to maybe things you do or maybe external factors, what predictions can you make about your life in 5 years from now? What do you think might be different?
Might be different. I will be old, 5 years old more. That's my prediction. Not a prediction, so maybe a fact. And yeah, and I don't have so many dreams. So when I was young, I have a lot of dreams, but getting old means I will lose one dream. One dream one by one, and I will realize the reality one by one. Or
Oh my!
that's all. That kind of that's a life. So I will survive if I'm.
I will survive. Okay. You're okay. All right. Talking about the future, and all right, whether even though it's obviously a fact, you'll be 5 years older.
Older, yeah.
Okay. When you're referring to now compared to the future, you're going to be using comparative structures like comparative adjectives. I'll obviously be 5 years older than I am now. It's very common to use a comparative adjective and than to compare now to the future. Yes, obviously you will. Okay. I can relate to what you were saying. I used to make a lot of plans. Okay. Used to, meaning I did before, but now I don't. Because I realized that, have you ever heard the expression, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans? Yeah, Victoria's heard it. Yeah. I don't know, maybe other people are able to follow through with their goals and they follow their plans, their life plan or whatever. But in my case, really, life is what happened when I was making other plans.
True.
And that's okay. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that. I have no resentments about it, but I think actually it's quite wonderful. Everything's a surprise to me. So it's a good thing, but yeah. Okay. I'm going to go back to Vitor because I'm really dying to ask you about your country. I really am curious. Vitor, I do have a couple of private students who are Brazilians, and I've had conversations, and I know somewhat about the turmoil happening in Brazil. First of all, let me ask you a direct question. Is Dilma going to get impeached?
I think so.
I hope. Do?
I hope.
You really think that's going to happen, though? Really?
I hope it happens. You know.
Okay.
We need to restructure our board of, politics. The politics, right? So what's happening in Brazil is we don't have, the problem is management. So we have a lot of resource, but I believe we don't have qualified people in the power. So we are wasting a lot of money, and because of our history, Brazilians are, they, how can I say these words? No, they don't protest. They are, let me try.
They're resigned. They are ambivalent. I'm just throwing words out there. I don't know really what you're trying to say.
Just a minute.
Sure.
No, accommodated. accommodated, like conniving. Conniving. So let me write it down.
Yeah, please. Conniving.
Conniving, yeah.
You sure that's the word you want to use?
Conniving.
To connive or conniving can be an adjective.
No, it's not connive.
I don't think that's right, because conniving means planning secretly.
I think this word would fit better. This one.
Yeah. Accessory. Okay. Let's help me out here. What are you trying to say? I'm not sure if that'll work either.
Okay. So basically, you know, what I'm trying to say is we know that this model is not working, but we are not doing anything to change it. We are like accommodated because you know, I was talking about history. I believe you know we lived a lot. We lived you know difficult times while we were being colonized. I don't know. While we were a colonial. How can I say?
While you were a colony.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we were taught to be like this.
Here's the word for you. Look in the Verbling chat box. Compliant. Okay.
Compliant. Okay.
Compliant, when you allow things to happen without.
Okay. Compliant.
Yeah, without protest or without trying to change things. You're compliant. You just let it happen.
And you know,
that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, that's the perfect word.
The other point is, you know, I live in a good city in Brazil. I live in Rio de Janeiro, but you know, there are other cities and states that most Brazilians don't have access to education, so they don't know what they are doing. They have no idea who they are voting, and that's why Dilma is in the power.
Yeah. Okay. Just, all right, a point of English, just because I want a little vocabulary so we all understand. If a person is compliant, they allow something to happen. Now, you were trying to use the word accessory, which is almost correct. If you are an accessory, and by the way, it's a noun, so you are an accessory to an action, that means you actually help. Like in English law, you're an accessory to a crime. If you allow it to happen, or if you help the actual crime happen, even in a small way. If you could do anything that would help prevent it, and you just don't, you actively, voluntarily don't do something, then you're an accessory. But if you're compliant, that it's a little bit different. You just allow whatever to happen.
Yeah, that's what happens here.
Accessory is more an active idea, and compliant is very passive. Right. Okay. Just, I'm very interested. Who was the woman who, for a while in the last election, she was looking really good. She was looking very strong for a period of time. Yes. Marina? Yeah. Right. What happened to her? I know we're supposed to be talking future tense, but she just like disappeared. At least from me, looking at the international news standpoint, she like vanished. What happened to her? Where'd she go? She looked really great to me. I mean, what she said made sense, and I liked her viewpoint personally, just my opinion.
I think her biggest mistake was to mix. She mixed politics with religion, and they like used it to create a negative, how how can I say it? A negative, not sense, a negative something.
Well, I don't know. A negative campaign, if you're talking about the actual.
Yeah.
They did a negative campaign, or did they make a negative concept of her? I'm not sure which way you're trying to say it, but both amount to the same thing, actually.
But you know, Dilma won the election because she promised a lot of things that she haven't done it yet, and she's not going to do it because it's not possible. We don't have money to do it.
Yeah, that's my impression.
Yeah.
Empty promises. There's a co-location.
Yeah, empty promises. Exactly.
Yeah, that may be useful for you. Yeah,
that's why that's why they voted her. Like Bolsa Familia. Do you know this program?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of it. A little bit. I know about it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty sad because you are giving money away instead of giving education. So if you give education, you are allowing people to, you know, build their lives. And it's pretty sad.
Right. Yeah.
But it's another way of thinking. So I respect her. I respect, you know, it's the main concept of socialism, right?
Yeah. Let's now this concept of just throwing money at people to make them happy. It's not working very well for, say, Venezuela. Really, that didn't work. So okay, another expression. I could see this a mile away. I could see this coming a mile away. Why do something that, like, a completely, nearly almost a failed state, Venezuela is doing? Why do that as part of your campaign platform? Don't people understand that if it doesn't work here, it's not going to work just because you're doing it somewhere else? Duh. Okay. Yeah, anyway, that was my view. Yeah, the phrase is, I could see it coming a mile away, is the whole phrase. It's a whole sentence we use to say, oh, that was easy to predict, basically. Well, back to prediction. Great. Okay, that's very interesting talking to you, and we kind of got bogged down in the background. I might come back to you about more about the predictions about Brazil and Petrobras and the whole crazy mess. But
I think it's gonna take like a few years, and everything's gonna be the same as it used it to be, but it's gonna take like 5 years, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what how the legal structure works, but that's going to have a lot to do with it, I think. All right, let me give Ken a chance, and I'm also very curious about Japan. Ken, let's get off the personal stuff. I would love to talk to you about your country. All right. Okay. We got. Okay. Your country's leader has made quite a lot of changes in reality regarding quite a lot of things. Actually, economics.
Neoconservative.
Yeah, and the pacifist military stance of your country is changed or changing. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of changes in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's it all going? What's going on with the economy now, and where do you see it going?
I think the reason why he survived is because of his, kind of controversy of that LDP issue or Article 9 issue. Many people dislike that actually.
Okay,
But
just a little background, Ken. I'm not that familiar, and Vitor may not know it at all. What is the Article 9?
Article 9, ban Japanese self-defense force attack foreign country. That's why it's not called army. It's a self-defense. It's for self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Article 9. But
Right.
that Abe changed the interpretation of that Article 9. So he tried to change. Technically, Japanese army can support mainly the U.S. maybe allies war. For example, Iraqi war. Same thing happened next time maybe. Actually it's happening in Sudan. Yeah, because of this change. Yeah.
Oh, really?
But it's a double standard actually. Actually, even the new law established, but still self-defense force is a self-defense force. They are not a soldier. So if they kill the civilians by accident, they might claim to the criminal in Japan in the foreign countries too.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I understand you. If Japanese military self-defense, or whatever you want to call them, was in Iraq and they killed a civilian,
Mm-hmm.
then they could be prosecuted in Japan?
Yes. It's many kind of lawyers or constitutional lawyers say such technical things. So it's also this change force them to face such double standard dangerous situation too. Actually, the mostly the biggest victim actually because of this change. Yeah.
So then, because I want to kind of try to keep focused on the future. What does this mean for Japan? Does this mean you will be embroiled into the ISIS disaster? The South China Sea, are you going to come to the Philippines rescue when China kills a bunch of fishermen? Or what does this mean?
I don't know the China because I'm not familiar with, but China is a very complicated, big, complex. Inside China, a lot of power struggle, power conflict happening, and so and inside China, a lot of different tribes and different type of people are living. So to control China is impossible because I'm a Japanese citizen or Japanese government, but it seems what Abe doing that is like that, but by force. But I think it's not so realistic plan actually, and because on the one hand, on the other hand, Japan and China are connected, heavily dependent each other economically. They, since Chinese economical kind of power is big now, so maybe in the budget level, it's more than EU now. So, but if the war happened, it devastated all of them. It could devastate the world economy too. So it's not a realistic option.
Devastate is that
Devastate, yeah.
Devastate. Yeah, well, yes.
And
obviously.
Why such kind of neoconservative feeling happen in Japan? Because of one possibility is because of the internet. A lot of such crazy nationalistic people appeared on the internet. They they say the opinion and kind of based on lie, and prejudice. Yeah. And actually, Abe broadcasting, my casted free broadcasting site before the LDP lost their power. And in that, I watched that show for a while. I was totally scared because he said, "Wow, Japan is a really beautiful country. Wow, we are strong." But it's like a Nazis, very narcissistic, unhealthy nationalism.
Yeah.
So it's a nightmare to me, actually.
Yeah, well, okay. Not just all right. I would okay, we can talk about that because that's a big thing. Technology, the internet, and the future. Not just in Japan, everywhere. In America, they're coming out of the woodwork. Okay, here's another interesting little. All right, coming out of the woodwork. Okay, look. I know exactly what you mean, and here's what I want to say. In 1976, in 1980, whatever, before the internet, you could see some nut on the corner in New York City going, "We should kill all the Jews, Muslims, Japanese, Chinese, Brazilians, whoever." You could see some nut espousing some ridiculous extremist position, and everyone would just ignore him. And that's it. But he's on a street corner. Now he's on Facebook and Twitter,
Right.
and he's making videos on YouTube, and he's finding other nuts that will take his position to make himself feel better and more accepted. That's natural human behavior, is try to find other like-minded people. So one of the downfall, or one of the pitfalls, better word, pitfalls of the internet, in my opinion, this is totally just my opinion, is that it brings out these extremist views. And instead of being on a street corner by themselves, they now have a community of people. So they just get louder and more dangerous. And I'm talking about every kind of extremist, social, religious, political.
Exactly.
I mean, that's my view, but I don't know. That's
And you know, the newspaper nowadays try to regulate the reading article on the internet for because they want to get a profit. You know, they need profit. So
yeah.
major newspaper try to regulate the reading article, but one newspaper which standpoint is very right, they allow MSN support that newspaper, so that article we can read freely on the internet. That one socialist says. One another point that the reason why such right wing view spread in Japan very quickly. But anyway, the many people actually support Abe for expecting to get better economy. If he fails, his economical how can I say change will fail. Maybe he will lose their supporter very quickly. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I think I work with innovation, so I think all the companies need to not get used to, but they need to adapt and they need to improve their business model. Otherwise, they will die. Like newspapers, I think New York Times, or I don't remember the company, but I think it was New York Times, almost went bankruptcy because nobody's buying newspapers anymore. So they need to improve their business model. They need to create some subscription on the internet, and then you would be able to read your newspaper in your iPad. So that's my opinion. I like technology, so I'm very suspicious to talk about it.
Wait a minute. You're suspicious to talk about it, or
yeah?
Okay.
How can I say it?
I don't know. Suspicious. You're suspicious of something. You suspect there might be something hidden or something bad. Is that what you mean, or you're suspicious of something?
I think it's different. So I tried to use an
What?
expression.
You
Yeah, a
want to talk
Brazilian.
about it?
Yeah, I tried to use a Portuguese expression. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, I want to talk about it,
Okay,
but
maybe you're anxious to talk about it.
yeah, no, because I work with that, you
Hmm.
know.
Well, great.
Not,
Let's talk about it. What is the future of the internet and human to
I
human,
think,
human computer interaction?
yeah, I think the internet is going to, it's not going to end, but it's going to be something so common that because that it's, you will not notice it in the future because everything will be connected on the internet. So
Hmm.
your your fridge, everything in your living room will be connected on the internet. So you might have robots doing your cleaning like in 20 years. We don't have it right now because hardware is still expensive. But we have the technology, but we need to improve it. We need to, it needs to be cheaper.
And
And that,
if history's any lesson, it will get cheaper. I mean,
yeah,
most computers, cell phones, etc., they've gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper as time goes by, right?
but the internet, there is the innovation that the incremental innovation, but the incremental, do you know the difference between an incremental innovation and a new innovation? Do you know the difference?
I think
Like,
so.
who came first, the chicken or egg?
Right. Okay. A
So
chicken and
the
egg
new,
scenario, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So after someone, someone created the internet, and after that, you know, a lot of things happened, and a lot of things has been happening, like Facebook, Twitter, and oh my God. But what innovation is going to come next? Like we have the internet, we have the cell phone, we have the Internet of Things. Internet of Things is basically a hardware that is connected to internet. So what device is going to be the next one? I have no idea. So I,
Mm.
I would invest in new hardwares, not only the internet. But I think there are a lot of opportunities on the internet still.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Very philosophical.
Well, yes and no, but your advice is to invest in hardware, so you're philosophical but practical at the same time, I would have to say. Uh, okay, let me lay a heavy one on you. We've kind of flirted around economics a little bit. What do you guys, both of you guys, what is your prediction for the world economy? And you can relate it to your own country economy or relate it to whatever you want. I read a particularly scary article yesterday from some pretty advanced economic uh, advisor guys, and it's pretty frightening if you look at just the numbers. The numbers, for example, that are frightening, which I mentioned, are debt. The world is in debt. Not just individuals, corporations, governments. The debt load is enormous. It's huge percentage of the money that's being paid all the time. Whereas, yeah. Anyway, it's scary to actually see the numbers. Uh, I, I don't know. Ken, are you
Yeah,
a doom and gloom?
I think, yeah, the debt, Japan is the number one country who own the debt in the world. I heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why some people are very skeptical about Abe's economic change.
Mm-hmm.
He he released a more national I forgot the word, national debt, like a stock people buy it, that national
Yeah.
debt to support but or some other things he will do, but in such a critical debt situation, so some or many economists says it's gonna be cause a devastation, to Japanese economy. And debt, yeah, and debt is and uh, I think nowadays current globalized economy based on how can I say, not producing a stuff or goods, actually more like money game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe if it maybe it's a matter of balance. If it's uh, primary, I think that's because of to get the money for produce the goods of for produce factory. Maybe for such reason that money game was invented. But now that money game itself, runs the economy.
It's taken over. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe yeah we'll face a very serious situation in the future if we continue such a money game based economy too much.
Yeah. It is pretty wild. Things like derivatives and
Mm.
you can't have somebody who sells you derivatives explain derivatives to you, and they can't. The money game has become so complicated that the people running the money game don't know the rules anymore, and that's frightening.
And
That's
nowadays computer
scary.
buys stock, so it's a
Yeah.
kind of the decision will make maybe very 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 tiny seconds. So human
Yeah.
is not
That's
selling
right.
actually stocks nowadays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically a war of robots. So,
Yeah.
machines, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, It's interesting, Vitor, that you mentioned like war, but and with robots, and a very interesting dynamic going on in the world between like Europe and the United States, and then China on the other side, because I find it fascinating that the United States keeps saying it's not okay to spy on our companies. We understand spying on the government. We spy on your government. You spy on ours. It's perfectly normal. But China is taking the position that the economy is part of national security, the military, the government, so there's no difference. To them, there's no difference at all. And American is still trying to use a model of that the economy is a separate thing from the government and the military, which really doesn't make sense because, Vitor, you're actually totally right. Economic warfare is going on all around us right now. Uh, it seems to me, anyway. Um, yeah, crazy. Vitor, what is your view? World economy, will we all change to Bitcoin or some other similar electronic money? Will the economy come crashing down in 5 years? What is your view?
I have no idea.
No idea?
No
Okay.
idea. But I think Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know.
It keeps,
Probably.
it's very volatile. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. It's not really, I don't know. It's volatile. It moves too much. The
I
price
think
and
it's gonna take a while, because everything needs to adapt to this new innovation.
mm-hmm.
And it's a huge impact. A huge impact. Can you imagine all the stores in the world? How can I pronounce this word?
World.
World.
World. Yeah. That's it.
World.
Yeah. Thank you. Very good. Yes.
So all the stores, shopping centers, banks. Can you imagine
Well,
everyone using Bitcoin? It's gonna
you
take a
can
while, like years.
you can buy a Subway sandwich with Bitcoin. I don't
Yeah,
know
but
why.
I
I thought that was the weirdest thing. Subway, of all the whatever, Subway sandwich fast food restaurant takes Bitcoin. They were like one of the first ones. Why? I don't know. But anyway, sorry.
so do you think it's gonna, do you think it's gonna exist only one currency?
There's another, and I can't remember what it's called. It's a very similar model to Bitcoin. It's something else that's it's highly encrypted or highly secure, like Bitcoin. There's something else that banks are just starting to do, and as Ken pointed out earlier, it's really the banking finance industry is driving the world economy now, and they're starting to look at a very similar model of electronic money. I can't remember what it's called. I just scanned an article briefly a week ago about it, and but it's interesting. They're seriously considering, and we're not talking about a few geeks or tech guys coming up with Bitcoin and sitting and thinking about how to create new programs or whatever. We're talking about the major banks. We're talking about Barclays and Citicorp. They are doing it. So if they want it done, it's going to get done. You know. Yeah, who knows? The other huge factor, if you're going to bother to talk about the economy, is that we've all been.
Are you an economist?
No, but I find it fascinating. I love to talk about it, and I read about it all the time. It does interest me a great deal. The other enormous and possibly grindingly slow change that will affect the economy is the movement from the world from the petrodollar, the U.S. dollar based on the price of oil, to whatever else. And here talking about energy and where we're getting energy.
So I think cars are not going to use petroleum in 10 years probably. I hope.
Well, I don't know.
Gasoline,
I mean, I'm with you,
alcohol.
but I'm with you, but I don't know. It's the price of oil is half, what it was a year or 2 years ago, whatever. And I think that's just the beginning of the world changing, moving away from petrol. And I can't imagine how that's going to affect the world. Think of all these countries that's all they do. That's it.
Saudi Arabia,
Venezuela, Russia. I mean, over half of their economy is just oil. That's all there is.
Like Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro is the GDP of Rio de Janeiro, 45%. I think it's oil and gas.
Is that right?
Yeah, almost the half.
I did not know that. That's very interesting. Okay.
Rio. Okay.
Yeah, Rio specifically. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there was a gas, oil, petroleum industry in the area. I knew Petrobras. Yeah.
A lot of corruption.
It's like saying a bad word, like a curse word. Petrobras. Don't say that. Yeah.
Gringo. Petrobras.
Yeah. Okay. Ken, what's your comment here?
Yeah, you mentioned about oil price, reduction
Yeah.
now. Yeah, it's almost half. Maybe last year, 1 liter of gasoline cost $2, more than $2, but now a little more than $1, almost half price nowadays.
Really?
Yes.
Here in the Philippines, where I live now, it's like It's 38 pesos per liter. It's 44 pesos in a dollar, so it's less than a dollar. It's like 80 cents a liter.
Pretty cheap now.
Pretty cheap. It used to be more like $1.40, so it's almost half, but not quite of what it used to be. But it's pretty cheap, about 80 cents a liter now here, and it seems to be slowly dropping. Actually, you know, 2 months ago it was 40 pesos a liter. 2 months before that it was 42. It's just slowly sinking. How about in Brazil? How much per liter for gasoline, Vitor? Like car gas, regular gas.
You know, I have to be honest with you. I'm not a driver, but I know that it's between 3 and 40 reais, which is way expensive. If you know, it's not cheap in Brazil, even though we have Petrobras. And I don't know why. I think it's because of, you know, it's economics, so demand and offer. So it doesn't matter how much it is, we are paying. That's what happens in Brazil.
Yeah, and that's the whole world. It's very strange, but it's very. I understand that. I have students all over the world. You know, in some countries, when the great crash in oil prices doesn't affect gasoline price at all for the consumers in their country. In some countries it does. Obviously it's down in Japan, it's down in the Philippines, it's really down in the United States actually. But you know, even though Russia produces a lot of oil, their gasoline price is not really down from what it used to be. It didn't really go down for them, for the citizens. I don't know. The government can make more money. I don't know. Okay. Anywho. Okay. Will technology in the field of energy production improve? You guys know anything I don't know?
One possibility is world began to rely on more alternative energy source. Here, you know, before the nuclear power plant accident, you know, alternative energy like solar or wind power or whatever, just 3%. But after that, people felt very critical feeling about nuclear power plants. So, because of that, maybe it rose until 20%, 3 to 20.
Okay.
Just 5 years or so.
Okay, it rose to 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and just another point of English. They felt critical feelings. You can say it another way. They felt critical, or even they were very critical of nuclear power. That's it. It's a weird word, critical, this adjective, because if we use it without any defining adjectives, it's automatically assumed to be negative. Even though a critique, you know, you critique a movie, you can give a good critique. It's the best movie ever. That's a critique. That doesn't have to be negative. But when we just say critical, the adjective people are critical, it's automatically negative. Okay, so people became critical about nuclear power. Yeah, right. Okay, alternative forms. There's also a lot of research going on. They're still playing around with cold fusion. There are all kinds of different innovations they're working on. Vitor?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Ken, go ahead. You had a point?
Yeah, go, Vitor.
Okay. Vitor, how about in Brazil? Are people using any alternative energies, sources, whatever, solar, wind?
Yes, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I have been seeing movement on there are a few companies in Brazil that are trying to sell photovoltaic panels, and it's very new. I saw a few Facebook ads. I've been seeing Facebook ads, for 2 months, and they are trying to sell products like this right now. And I study engineering in Rio, and industrial engineering. And my professor, she always talks about energy, like new energies. I think Brazil is starting to think about it right now.
Yeah. Okay. There's a surprisingly.
It's a reality in the United States, so.
It definitely isn't a reality, and it's even being enforced with new laws and so forth. That's true. There's actually, it's surprising to me because I live in the Philippines and it's such a kind of, third world place, but there's an enormous project going on here now, actually, for wave energy. They're building this enormous plant, actually, in the middle of nowhere, sort of a pilot project, but it's interesting. Whoa. Hello? Did I lose you guys? Are you there?
No, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm
okay. Yeah, my browser just kind of froze up on me. Anyway, gentlemen, I need to go eat lunch, and my time is up. So I thank you very much, but it's actually time for me to go anyway. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We'll see you next time. An interesting conversation. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
very interesting.
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right.